The truth is, you can't get everything you want out of life unless you got a real, legit plan.
Hendrix and his friends bet to see who will lose their virginity by the prom.
Nobody's gonna win this stupid bet.
But as he falls for the smartest girl in the school, he finds that he must step up his grades.
Maybe you could tutor me.
It's only when he sacrifices himself to save a friend that he discovers what truly matters in We the Party.
I really appreciate you guys agreeing to interview with me. The first question I have as a producer is, I want to know about the money. You and Michael Cohen, the producer, had financed the movie yourselves. Or did you try to go and get financing? You just say at some point, I'm just going to do it myself.
Good point. I had a janky money man.
What does that
Janky
mean?
means it's kind of iffy.
Okay.
Yeah. I kept saying, man, you know, it is time for us to have that definitive coming-of-age film. I loved House Party. I loved Breakfast Club. One film was white, one film was black. It's time for a film that's us.
Right.
You know, and so I kept thinking this was the time to do it. And my running buddy, Michael Cohen, read the script. We were talking about it, and the janky money man just kept seeing more janky. And finally, Michael said, dude, if you can write a check, I can write a check. If you feel that way about it.
And that was it.
And that was it.
And
We just decided to do it, and meant we weren't going to do it. You know, we had to do it and watch the money. So we had the people working with us, around us, that were cool with that. And I was amazed at all the folks that came in. So I knew I could count on my family, right?
I was just going to say, Mandela, did you, like the rest of your brothers and sisters, go, okay, we'll take scale?
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that.
Okay.
But you know, but other folks like Snoop came in and worked, and Tiny Lister from Posse, and Sally Richardson from Posse, and Michael Jai White, who does a lot of work with kids, came in. So once people read the script and said, oh, it's not just some, you know, some sort of thin party movie. It's actually got a lot more to it than that. They got on board. And that was exciting.
You refuse to acknowledge that he was diagnosed as ADD.
I refuse to use it as a crutch.
Your ego is clouding your judgment. He tells me things that he won't tell you.
Well, of course he does. When kids are lucky enough to have both their parents in their lives, that's what they do. They try to get their bread buttered on both sides.
You basically stated in the press kit that, like, if this is what you want to do, you just go and do it.
Right.
And, you know, you write the check and you make it happen.
The three loves.
That's
love
right.
what you do, love who you do it with, and love what you say with it.
I think that's fantastic. Well, speaking of love, tell me about the most challenging thing of working as a whole family together on this movie.
Probably the most challenging thing would be knowing that, as head of the family, that I'm putting some of our resources at risk. Do you know what I mean? That you go, oh, wow, you mean, if the movie opens April 6th and it does well, great. If not, you go to community college.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and do you guys want to take that risk and having to be the decider on that? That's a trip, and going into it with Michael. Well, how was it for you?
Man, the toughest part is if I don't know my lines, I hear about it the whole ride home.
Okay.
The next morning, we eat dinner. You gotta learn new lines. I live with the guys, so directing and, you know, living
And he's the
with him.
director and the screenwriter,
Exactly.
so...
I would do a game with him where I'd have him walk down the street and do his line, and I would run around him and try to slap him and distract him. And if he could stay on point, then he could relax. If he couldn't stay on point, he had to start beginning.
The other one, I kind of have a lowish voice, so he would stand at the end of a hallway, and I'd have to say my speech. Then he'd back up another 10 yards. I'd have to say it again.
So he could hear you.
Keep doing it. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not going to yell down this hall in school.
So he was a vocal coach. On top of everything else, you were acting like his vocal coach.
Yeah, you got to make it work.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
but it helped out. I appreciated it.
Wow. So my last question is actually a fairly difficult one, and that is that you guys cover a lot of rough topics in this movie. Homelessness, violence within the family, and I think the most interesting thing for me would be to hear from you, what was the hardest scene to film in the movie?
Oh, I don't want to spoil it.
No, you can spoil it.
It's no spoiler alert.
All right. I gotta say it was when we shot at Cece's grandma's house, her mom's house.
I thought you were going to say that.
And it was just, that one was such a nerve-wracking scene because, I mean, how would you feel in that situation?
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is a nerve-wracking scene to watch in the movie.
Exactly. And it was difficult because everyone's energy is so up here throughout the whole scene, and we did so many takes of it where you gotta stay focused. You can't drowsy out.
He plays very real.
Right.
And to
Yes,
get to
you
that
did.
real place, you know, he has a tendency to go real. Some people go big. He goes into the sort of real centered place, which is great. But that was rough. I know that was rough for you.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I live in the Baldwin Hills. Just Seen It is shot in the Baldwin Hills. So I'm like going, okay, I was there yesterday. I know where that is. That's down the block for me.
So you know how real it is.
Yes,
I mean, we
it is.
played it real.
Absolutely.
You know.
But it was a thrill for me. I thought the movie was a really fun movie. It was educational, but it was in my neighborhood.
Oh, cool, man.